I'm going to go to present mode, and can you hear me still?
Yes, we can.
Lovely. Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much for having me. My name is Kaylee Kelleher, and I know it looks like Kali, and my parents decided to pronounce it Kaylee, but I'm also aware of the Hindu goddess Kali.
Yeah.
So I'm the International Recruitment Coordinator at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Through this presentation, there are some pictures of campus, and I just kind of want to show you all of what we have on our campus. So we started as a normal school, so we're a little bit younger than your school. And we started as a teacher education college in 1895. And I'll show you a picture here. Here is the class of students at that time, and we've grown much more diverse, in the last, 125, plus years. Oops. So we are accredited by HLCA, so the Higher Learning Commission accreditation. We have AACSB accreditation for our business programs in the Leibovitz School of Business and Economics, as well as ABET accreditation for our engineering and computer science programs. As far as the ranking that I have, so we're ranked 38 in the Midwest regional universities, as well as the 53rd best value schools and 44th in best undergraduate engineering programs. I'd also like to say that the New York Times ranked Duluth the most climate adverse location. So basically, as climate change is upon us, many people will move to this area because we have 4 seasons. We don't have very extreme temperatures in any direction. Sometimes our winters can be pretty cold, but many people will move here because even storms and other things are not as strong here. So it's a very great place to live. Lots of people love going outdoors and doing lots of things. It's a very green community as well. So lots of people that are environmentally friendly as well. So our campus has, 50 buildings, and as you can see here, it's a very compact campus. We also have an underground system where students can connect to the different buildings when it's cold out in the winter, so they don't have to be outside the whole time if they don't want to be. Okay. We also have 100 hectares of land as well. And so that land is used for research purposes, but it's also available for students who just want to go and clear their minds and take a walk through the woods. And so there are lots of other activities as well that students can participate in throughout the year. So, in the fall, students can go for, nature hikes and that kind of thing. In the winter, they can do some cross-country skiing, maybe tubing. There's skiing within a 15-minute drive of campus, some downhill skiing. And then just throughout the other seasons, students can go boating and kayaking and canoeing and that kind of thing. So we are also right at the tip of Lake Superior. So if I go back to that last picture, as you can see along the top of the picture, that's Lake Superior. And so, the largest lake in the world by surface area, at least. Yes. Lake Baikal beats us in volume. But what's really beautiful about the lake is that you can look across the lake and you don't see the other end. So it looks like the ocean, essentially, of course, with fresh water. But it's really wonderful to be around water, and I think it's something that's really valuable in our community. I mentioned a lot of the different seasons that students can go out and do activities. You see here just kind of a standard, picture of what you might see in this area. There are lots of, wooded acres, and really, it's really easy to find these types of environments here. You also see some students canoeing on the bottom left. Yes. And so that's a really wonderful experience. There are many rivers and lakes in this area, and so we're really happy about that. Here's a picture of the Swenson College of Science and Engineering, and it's actually in the winter. As you can see, there's some icicles forming there. So we have about 11,000 students. So just about 700 are graduate students, as well as 1,900 faculty and staff. So by the U.S. definition of university sizes, we are a medium-sized institution. So we have quite a bit of money for research. We have a lot of different research institutes on our campus, including the Natural Resources Research Institute, NRRI, the Large Lakes Observatory, and then we have a federally funded Sea Grant. So a lot of our research is based on the local natural resources of Lake Superior and the surrounding area. And, you know, a lot of our students will study different organisms that live within, you know, other streams or that kind of thing, but they'll also do some research on some of the large international vessels that come in through the port of Lake Superior. So they'll conduct studies in ballast water and different things that these ships are bringing in or other organisms that come into our water system. So we also have a University of Minnesota medical school. However, at this time, it doesn't take admission for international students. So medical school, if you have any students who are studying for medical school, you know, we get a lot of inquiries in the process for a medical school to accept international students based on certain immigration regulations is very, very strict. And so we do have many students who are preparing for medical school. And so many students will get their bachelor's degree in some kind of science related degree and then apply to medical school from there. And we have a lot of faculty that student you know, could talk to regarding those next steps. And so it's a great school for students to prepare for medical school. And we also have a College of Pharmacy as well that will accept international students, and we've had many students be successful there. Also, our faculty are doing they're doing lots of great research. They're also working with a lot of undergraduate students, so there are opportunities for those students to get that research and then use that research to apply for graduate school and look at research assistantships and teaching assistantships as well that really help to defray the cost of education at the graduate level. So the percentage these days is about 96% of our students either go on to postgraduate programs or, postgraduate programs or join the workforce in their career within 1 year of their education or of completing their education at UMD. And so we're really proud of that. We have a great career services office as well as an international student services office that helps students to apply for, you know, work permission while they're a student, as well as work permission after they're done with their programming and helping them to know what types of jobs are, you know, are available and how that process works in terms of immigration. So we also have, so Brian Kabilka won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2012. So he was a former, you know, former student and professor at UMD. And so there's actually a lecture hall that has a seat that he normally sat in, and it has a plaque. And I've heard that some of our students will get to class maybe half an hour early so they can sit in that one seat.
Okay.
And they just sit there and study. So it's kind of a fun little story. And here are just some more pictures of our students at work with their faculties or with their faculty mentors and you know, other instructors. So we have our Leibovitz School of Business and Economics. You know, here are some, you know, here's some of the imagery from the buildings themselves. We're trying to make sure that all of our buildings meet a certain green standard. And so you'll see a lot of windows, lots of natural light that students are being surrounded by. And so that's, you know, pretty important to us. And I mentioned that they were accredited by the the business school has AACSB accreditation in their business programs. And I'll show you some of the programs that we have for that specifically. And I resized these, but I'm realizing that in the presentation mode, it's not resizing. So my apologies.
Okay.
And here are some of the majors that we have. Also, there are lots of opportunities for students to participate with local companies and various banks and that kind of thing. So there's actually this, this type of program where students can manage various funds, stocks and bonds. And so they, there are local people that will put money into this fund, and those students manage those accounts and they help it to grow. And so it's a really wonderful opportunity. I think it's close to $2 million right now. So they, it's wonderful to see that they're working with real clients and that, you know, they can talk about those experiences when they go for a job interview. Okay. Oh my goodness. I text is a little funny. Let me know if you have questions on that. But these are
It's
kind of the
20.
numbers.
Okay.
Okay. Within that college specifically. There are 54 different faculty members. So we also have Swenson College of Science and Engineering, and this is a very large program for our students as well as the business program. And so, again, there are lots of hands-on opportunities for our students. A lot of students choose some type of engineering field, but we also have many other opportunities as well. Let's see. Oops. So some of the things that I'll mention. So we have one thing out of this slide I'd like to talk about is the Blue Heron research vessel. So this is a larger boat that was donated to the university for research purposes. So students who are in biology or chemistry or, looking specifically at, perhaps fish biology or something like that, they'll go out on this research vessel and they'll do various types of testing, maybe tagging fish, different things to study those fish. And it's just a really wonderful opportunity for students to get that hands-on experience, working with fish or working with the water samples and really learning those real-world skills. And there are lots of other opportunities within different majors that allow students to not only grapple with the content, but also with the real-world application of what they're learning. And so here's that Blue Heron research vessel.
Okay.
And and we have some majors here that are listed. So a lot of engineering programs, but also we have biochemistry. So say a student is going into med school or they're going into perhaps graduate school and they want a focus on both biology and chemistry. That's a wonderful option for students. And so yeah, run to the next one here. We also have master's degree programs as well that students can continue on into after their bachelor's degree. And students are given more information about that process of applying to graduate school and how to become a competitive graduate student, especially if they are looking for research assistantships and graduate assistantships. And here's just a breakdown of the number of students in that college. And over 180 faculty for Swenson, for SCSE. So it really is a larger college within our university. And then we have our College of Education and Human Service Professions, kind of a mouthful to say. But a lot of the majors that are in this field are directly working with people. So a lot of education related fields as kind of an homage to that Duluth normal school, to those beginnings, as well as, exercise science, communication science and disorders. And of course, psychology, we have a lot of inquiries about psychology and social work as well. And so there are lots of those programs. As far as teaching, a student would need to look at kind of those teaching requirements back in India so they could, earn a degree in the US. And if they wanted to teach in the US for a while, they could get that credentialing, and then they'd have to look at what the requirements were back home in India to apply that teaching degree to teach. We also have a College of Liberal Arts, so it's actually merging with our college School of Fine Arts and our College of Liberal Arts. And so they're actually coming together and they're going to become one large college on our campus. And so here are some of the majors that our students can choose within CLA. Cultural entrepreneurship is a really big one that students have been choosing. So they want to apply culture to some kind of business model. And so with the globalization of our world, it's just a really timely major that students can choose, as well as, there are some other language majors as well, and many students will choose to double major. So they'll choose, they might choose a language, but they'll also choose some kind of business related field or something like that. And I mentioned our School of Fine Arts, so they are merging, and so it's not official yet, but they will be merging soon. And here are some other types of majors that students can choose. A lot of music related types of performing arts. And here are some of the universities that our students have gone on to for graduate school. And so I have one
Okay.
other right here.
Okay.
And I can send this to you as well, Asma.
Yeah, okay.
All right. And that's pretty much all I have for the moment. And I'd love to hear about Dally College.
Yeah, Dally College is, thank you for this presentation. And I'll keep my questions for the end because I would certainly like to ask about the fee structure and their eligibility requirements for various courses. Like, would it be
Sure.
uh, because I have one batch of A levels and the
Okay.
other is CBSE. So Dally College is
Sure.
we are celebrating 150 years this year. So it's
Wow.
150
Congratulations.
year, yes, 150-year-old school. So at the moment it was our 150th year, but it's all locked down at the moment. And we
Okay. Sure.
offer central curriculum, that is our national curriculum, which is the CBSE. And
Sure.
we also have A levels, one batch of IGCSE and A levels. And majority of these students look at US or Canada or any other country. Now they are exploring Europe as well. So, and
Sure.
US is the major chunk, where major chunk of our students go to US for higher education, the ones who are doing A levels, and some of them from CBSE as well. And engineering is one part where the children are going to study, and business, because we are in a business town. Like Indore is a town which has more of business families.
Sure.
It is closer to Mumbai. So we call it the mini Mumbai because Mumbai is known as to be our, I think you may have heard of the Mumbai as one of our metropolitan where most of the business is there happening. So we are very close to Mumbai. So as a result, more business. And in our school also, we have majority of the students in the business class, studying
Okay.
business and economics and accounts. So they go in for a BBA. And then, yes, we offer psychology also to our students, as well as very few medical, and then engineering. So the students who are going abroad from our school are the ones who are going to study engineering, and the others who are studying business and economics.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, and we have both girls, boys, girls also doing very well. It's a
Lovely. I
co-ed.
love to see that.
Yes, it's a co-ed school. So children are doing very well there. And as she mentioned, we are a part of Round Square, meaning we do offer a lot of international collaboration. Even in our school from class 10 onwards, students are allowed to go on for exchanges to the Round Square schools. Round Square is an organization which was instituted by Kurt Hahn from UK. And from there it has spread. It's basically working around 6 ideals and favoring internationalism, democracy, adventure, and social service. So
Sure.
our children are used to a lot of things, and then they do go abroad for, like, they go to US, Canada, Australia, and they stay there at times for 6 weeks. And some students have been outside for even 1 year. So they experience the culture there. It's basically to promote intercultural learning.
Wow.
Yeah, so Round Square is one such area where our students are exposed to culture and learning outside. Then we are a part of G30 group of schools. So the only one from India, which is our principal is the member there for G30 schools. So we are talking to those G30 schools, and our children and our teachers, a principal sir goes for an exchange with these, and they collaborate. Like even nowadays in these lockdown period, we are
Sure.
collaborating with them on how are we moving ahead with pastoral care, how are we moving ahead with social service, with classes. And so a lot of collaboration is happening between these 30 schools all over the world. Some schools from Canada, some from UK, Australia. So these schools, so the collaboration, social service are key features over here in our school.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That's great to hear. I also saw that do you have AFS exchange programs as well?
Yeah, we have AFS exchange programs. So of late, I think past 1 year, none of the children have been applying and going, but earlier
Sure.
some students have been a part of this AFS, yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I've known many people that have
Okay.
participated in that program and it
AFS
was
program.
life-changing
Yeah.
for them. So
Yeah.
that's great.
That's true. And in the school, we also have a whole lot of clubs and societies, right? We have around 30 clubs for the children, and all the children have to take part in one or the other club. Then we
Okay.
have been promoting amongst the children inter-house music, Western music, Indian music,
Sure.
dance, drama. And in drama, the children are writing their own scripts and producing the entire play.
Wow.
So that is how the children are. Even from our school, some children have gone and they are learning performing arts, music. That's why I was interested. Now this is also another thing. So one child went to the US and he is at the moment
Mhm.
composing music for some people in the US. So
Wow.
music is also Indian music and Western music. Both are very popular here, dance and drama. Uh, and we have been taking cultural tours, like 30 students and some dance teachers and music teachers have been going on a tour. They visited Canada, Dubai on cultural tours and exchanges and performed in other schools. So cultural exchange, sports, we are very good at sports. We have many games in sports because we are a 118-acre campus.
Okay. Sure.
So we have many like cricket grounds, sports, basketball, hockey, football, swimming. We have our Olympic-sized swimming pool in our school, 15 meters. So we have a
Wow.
whole lot of swimmers coming out from here, and they are representing our school in all at the India level. Shooting. Our one child has been, she's been representing India as far as shooting is concerned. One girl is going to US for tennis, and she has played for India in tennis. So she is going on a full scholarship to Georgia Tech for
That's
tennis.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. I love hearing about those stories.
Yeah.
Just,
So we have a whole lot of games and sports also in our school.
can I ask a question about your hockey? So do you have an indoor arena with hockey, or is it floor hockey or
No,
field hockey?
it's a field hockey. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
field hockey.
Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. No, I was just curious because, this area of the U.S. is really big with ice hockey. And so
Okay.
we have a Division I ice hockey team. And then the rest of our sports are Division II. So,
Okay.
but, students will get scholarships to come, to play ice hockey. So I was just
Okay.
curious about that.
Okay. Okay.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. So you were saying that a majority of your students are looking at studying in the U.S. In any given year, how many students go abroad in terms of the students that graduate?
Say about 15 to 20%
Okay, 15
have
to
been.
20%.
Yeah.
And how many students do you have on your campus?
On the in our school we are a school from class KG to 12. So around
Okay,
1600 is our strength from KG to 12, like from
okay,
pre-primary to class 12. Yes. And we have a bachelor's program also running in
okay,
affiliation to UK, De Montfort University, Leicester.
okay,
So the children, that's a tie-up program. So 2 years the students are studying here, and that is
okay,
again BA Honors in Business Administration. And the third year, the students go to UK to complete their education. So that is a very small, it's a different setup, but on the
sure,
same campus. So
okay,
totally different setup on the same campus. So 2 years, 2+1, 2 years they study in India, in Indore, in
mhm,
our school. And the third year they are going to UK, De Montfort University, Leicester.
sure, okay.
That is
Wonderful.
also one, yeah.
Do you know if there'd be any interest for students to participate in perhaps a 2+2 program? I know with the UK it's the 2+1, and I
Yes.
think in the US it'd be a 2+2. But do you think there'd be any interest in students participating in a program like that,
So
perhaps in the
for
US?
the 2 years in India, where will they be studying then? Like, are you looking at somewhere here, or you already have a tie-up like this in India? Do you have one?
We don't have a program like this in India, and I was curious to know if that program, those initial 2 years, if those were on your campus or if that was a partner that you have within, Indore. So
Okay,
I'm
so
curious to know how that works with that
uh,
institution.
that so we'll have to talk to the authorities and the board,
Of
because that's
course.
another decision. But as far as this is concerned, that the children are here for 2 years and the third year they go to UK, this is popular amongst the children who are our children, and we get admissions from all over India,
Sure.
because then the parents feel that at least for 2 years they are in India, and for the third year they've grown up when they go to UK or they go out.
Sure.
Like this year, because of this COVID situation, number of
Hmm.
students want to apply there. There also we have a very limited, very small capacity of 60 students in a batch. We don't take more than that. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. Thank you. And I guess my question was simply just to kind of see
Yeah.
how that works, because we do have a partnership team that has,
Okay.
established programs like that at the higher level and gone through all of the,
Okay.
administrative work that
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
takes to
Yeah.
establish a program. But that's really good to know. Thank you.
Yes, as far as, can I ask you about some questions? What are your
Of
eligibility?
course.
Are you a SAT optional, or do you take SAT? Because nowadays most of the colleges are
Mhm.
going SAT optional.
Good question. So, we are still requiring some kind of standardized tests for students based on immigration kind of regulations. And so at this time, there's actually, so I joined this university in March, and, I am trying to change the policy a little bit, but currently, students from India, if they indicate English as their first language, they can submit the SAT. If a different language is listed, then the admissions team wants to see a TOEFL or IELTS. However, I've argued that these students have had English, I mean, from the time that they're born all the way through, through high school. And so, so students can submit an SAT score or an ACT score, um, but I would recommend that they indicate English as their first language on the application. Otherwise, students are able to submit a Duolingo, IELTS, or TOEFL score. And so I'm trying to get that to change within the administration, within admissions. But students will need to submit one type of score. So, however, if students are having a hard time taking the SAT because of COVID-19, please let me know and I will advocate on their behalf for them. And so I'm hoping that with COVID-19, we can be a little more flexible with taking tests. However, on the domestic student side, tests are optional because it doesn't relate to their immigration status or anything like that. And so our admissions office is very strict about that kind of thing, just to make sure that there's some kind of standardized test as included for that student with their visa interview. So I feel bad saying that students need to submit, a TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. However, that's currently how our policy is. I'm hoping it will change soon.
And what type of SAT score usually is required? Like, what is the requirement? Like, generally, which score students are accepted?
That's a really good question. And since I started at the end of March, I'm not actually sure. I haven't, I need to find out. SAT scores for native speakers. So I can't tell you a range yet, but I will inquire and let you know. So I'll send you an email after our session
Yeah.
today.
Yes, that's okay. And you said there's a master's degree. So do the students get admitted to a combined degree program as well? Like it's a bachelor and a master's for 5 years or so, or they have to apply separately for the master's degree after they've completed their graduation?
Sure. Generally, students will apply for the bachelor's degree, and then they will apply for the master's degree after that. The master's degree programs are generally 2 years. I know there is one accelerated program for 1 year, and I believe it's business related.
Okay.
I think it might be an MBA program that we have. So then I believe that would allow students to complete their bachelor's and master's degree in 5 years instead of the standard 6 that students would take with the 4-year bachelor's and 2-year master's.
Okay, and what about the work permit? Is your university allowing work permit as like a science degree for 2 years or 3 years and otherwise?
Sure. Good
Yeah.
question. So, so as far as with U.S. immigration policy, so students can work in CPT, it's called, so
Yeah.
curricular practical training, after they've been at the university for 1 year. And so students can apply for an internship within their program, and then along with, or I'm sorry, they can take a course, an internship course, along with an internship somewhere in the community. And it can be a paid internship or unpaid. We hope that students will find some paid ones so it can support them financially. And then they will get experience within that career field. Students are eligible to take CPT for multiple semesters. In addition to this work permission during the program, students can also apply for work permission after they graduate their program. And so that's called OPT, so optional practical training. And so these students will apply for that, that work permission in their last semester of being a student. And sometimes that application process through USCIS, so that can take 3 to 4 months. And so students request a time when that work permission will start, and then they will be sent their work permission card. And they generally can have 1 year of work permission. However, students who are in the STEM fields and are in a field that's recognized as being a STEM field by USCIS will be eligible for an additional extension of 2 years. And so those students can work for 3 years. And kind of the policy behind that is that if a student has found a position within a company in that first year, if that company says, wow, we really want to keep this student, we want to apply for an H-1B for this student. And generally the acceptance rate for an H-1B application is about 1 in 3. And so the idea behind that additional 2-year extension is that with those 3 years, the student is most likely going to get an H-1B during that time, in those 3 years, if the chance is 1 in 3. But yeah, so that's a really great option for a lot of the engineering students and computer science students and that kind of thing. However, students can get H-1Bs in different career fields as well. It's just a little harder if they have 1 year of that work permission. And so, but it's not impossible. Also, students will choose to go on to graduate school or, further their education so they can become a professor. So there's no cap on H-1Bs for professors. So if the university requests an H-1B, there's no cap on that process currently. And of course, there have been discussions about lots of things with immigration, but we have a lot of people advocating on behalf of international students. So actually, our university participated in the lawsuit against the US government for making different policies that were more discriminatory towards students. So we're quite happy to fight on behalf of students, just to make sure that they have an equitable chance for success within our universities and beyond.
Because that is a question, what will be the government going to do
Sure.
in future about
Oh, I know. It's so strange because, there are the port of entry officials and the people that are very, very strict and looking for certain things. And once they cross into the borders, all of these international educators are just so happy that students are there and are supporting students. But it is kind of a scary world right now with things that are going on and policies that are being made. It's, I think with the current administration, the ethnocentricity that emanates from words and actions it's really damaging to the U.S. and to the people in the U.S. and the diversity and I just it's really unfortunate, and all we can say is, well, continue to call your senators and call people that can enact change, and continue supporting the students that are here because they're in need of it even more. And just continue to look toward the future and make connections like we're doing now, and just inform others that there exist Americans who support international students and desire to bring them to their community so we can learn from them and they can learn from us. And hopefully that exchange continues, just indefinitely. So,
yes. How many Indian students do you have? Like, are there some students from India at UMD?
Yes, there are students from India at UMD, primarily I can't give you a number, but, I can say that, in the past, a lot of students were coming to the US at the graduate level. And so our undergraduate and graduate, international divisions are separate. And so we do a lot of our recruitment at the undergraduate level. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to encourage more Indian students to come at the bachelor's degree level. And I know that, of course, students are coming. We just needed to find the right schools that, that we're looking to send their students to an institution like ours. And so so I can't tell you the amount of students that we have right now, I'm sorry. But, we do have quite a few students from many different countries. Over 50 different countries are represented on campus. And I believe about 240 students, but I'm not, I'm not sure how many there will be on campus this semester. So various students have returned home and will be taking courses online from home. So their advisors are working to get them in the courses and things. But yeah, so it's just a very diverse community. We have a really wonderful international student services team that connects students to, events and just to make sure students are able to share their culture with others. And there's a Diwali festival and, just some different things that help students to feel that sense of, connection to home. The food will never be, the same, of course, as their mother's cooking or grandmother's cooking, but it's just another way for students to really take in each other's culture and learn from one another.
Can you throw some light on the fee structure of
Sure.
India? Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I'll actually send a link to this chat, but I'll also send you an email with additional information. But I can do that right now, and it'll just be really fast. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just pasting this link into our chat. And so this is kind of the breakdown for the I-20 amount. And so, along with tuition and fees, and this is an annual cost, along with tuition and fees, we also have room and board, health insurance, which is mandatory and highly recommended as the US healthcare system is, can cause lots of problems if a student doesn't have insurance. It can get expensive very quickly. And then also books, supplies, transportation, and personal expenses as, as is required for the I-20. For students who come in during the fall semesters, we highly encourage them to submit an international student scholarship application. And so these scholarships are awarded and are up to $6,000 annually for students to defray the cost of their tuition and that kind of thing. So it's a very competitive scholarship application, and students are evaluated on their GPA as well as their commitment to service learning and academic, participation on campus, in different clubs and events and different kinds of things, which it sounds like your students would be very well suited for. Yes. So, so I'd highly recommend that students submit that application. Generally, that the timeline for that would be, students must submit all of their application materials and be admitted by March 1st. And so I would recommend that students submit all of their documents by February 1st to be considered for that award. In addition, we have a new scholarship that's kind of just a little scholarship to help students who complete their applications early. And so if a student applies by October 1st and just submits the application, and then if they complete their application with all materials by, I think it's February 1st, but I would recommend the middle of January just to make sure. Then they would receive a $500 one-time scholarship for their first semester. And so that's just an added incentive for students to apply by October 1st and then complete all of their application by the middle of January.
Okay. So the scholarship they have to apply separately, or is it related
Yes.
to their need-based, that way that scholarship is it there?
Sure.
And another question, are you on Common App, listed on Common App? So will the children apply? Okay.
Yes, so we are on Common App. And as far as the application, or as far as the scholarship itself, it is merit-based. And so as far as any need-based scholarships, we currently don't have those for students who are incoming students. However, you know, there are some additional opportunities for students to talk to the International Student Services Office, say their finances have changed, or, you know, due to some unforeseen circumstance or something, you know, their finances have changed. I would encourage them to talk to the International Student Services Office, because sometimes there are some additional funds that students can apply for, in addition to departmental scholarships. So students who come in during the fall 2021 semester, they'll be able to apply for scholarships within their department in the following semester, and they would be notified during that semester, and then the award would be applied the coming fall, so a year after they enter the university. Any students who enter in the spring, however, many times they'll need to wait until the following spring to apply, and then it gets applied in the fall semester. So so it's a little harder for incoming spring students. But yeah, so it all kind of depends on the department that the student is going into, as well as the funds that are available. And there are certain scholarships that are need-based. And so the only problem is that FAFSA is used for that process. And so FAFSA is that application that domestic students file to show their need. And so I'm trying to work on a process of having the committee accept other types of need-based eligibility, or showing that a student is eligible for those things. And so we will see how far I get with that. But I always want to advocate for international students and whatever their financial needs may be. So
because our children don't fill up the FAFSA, they fill up the CSS
yes.
profile.
Okay.
The CSS profile is filled by our students if they're applying for any scholarship. So, and that is through College Board only, that they are submitting CSS
Sure.
to some. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's good to know. And I think, you know, that's what I've seen before from students who are submitting that. And so I think that'd be a really wonderful way for students to show their economic need or financial need.
Yeah.
Trying to think of my other questions. I have my, my things here. Let's see.
Basma ma'am, do you have any other question?
I've asked like for Common App, scholarships. Basically, our questions are scholarships. Basically, scholarships is one thing, and because the children are looking for that, is an added advantage if they are applying and they're getting scholarships there. And their eligibility, and the costing I look up from the link that she's just shared. And if you could send us the either the PPT or the courses, the brochure, so that the various courses that you offer, if you could send the email or the link for that.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. And we have a brochure that's quite beautiful, so I'll send that to you, and it has the courses as well.
Yes.
And I'll just send a little recap of our conversation along with the link to the costs as well.
Okay. Any questions from your side?
No, I think you've done a really great job of representing your institution. It's beautiful. I was on your website, and I think it's wonderful for the students to be surrounded in such an, a picturesque environment. So, and also, I guess I had one question, and I think it was the CBSE or IGCSE testing. I know that, or no, maybe it was the A levels. I'm sorry. I know that the predicted scores were quite elevated from actual scores. Did you find that your students were feeling really, in the same way in terms of the scores that they received?
Actually, that was for the May-June examination. And we in
Okay.
our school take the February-March exam
Okay.
for the A levels. So February-March exam was already over before this lockdown spread in India. So we
Okay.
got our actual results. And so we do not take the May-June exams because it then becomes very late for the children to apply if they have to apply to Indian colleges, because the results come out in August. And by then all the admissions are over. So in our school, we take the A levels of the class 12 exams, year-end exams in Feb-March.
Okay.
So that did not affect us. But yes,
Good.
it was there in the other schools which take May-June exams. So what Cambridge had done, they had not given the grades which were predicted by the teachers. They had downgraded that result. So there was a lot of, over there, heat and arguments. Because what IB had done, IB had elevated the results and Cambridge had downgraded the results. So then Cambridge, yes. Then Cambridge, after some days, Cambridge also came back to, and then Cambridge said, we will be going by the predicted grades of school. So
did they? Okay.
Yes, they have. So recently, the schools have received the predicted grades as per the teachers.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I know that was a large source of contention. So I'm glad.
Protests all over UK. And
oh my goodness.
Yes, even in other countries also.
Wow. Well, 2020 has been quite the year, hasn't it?
has been a different year, yes. Thank you so much for, I hope Nupur and Afsha, you have no questions from her or me, but it was a great opportunity and great learning from Kelly. She has done a good job. She's explained in detail and she's, yes. So thank you so much for arranging this, Afsha and Nupur. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It's totally our pleasure. And we always try to prize the representatives of the schools with as many as knowledge as we can through the universities. Thank you so much for taking out time, Asma ma'am. Thank you so much, Kelly, for giving this wonderful presentation. And once you'll be sharing that presentation with us, and we'll be forwarding that to Asma ma'am so that she can go through in detail. And if she has any questions, then she can come up with more questions to you.
That's wonderful. Asma, it's so nice to meet you. And thank you.
Same here, Kelly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving your time. I think it's afternoon there and here also. Thank you so much, both of you, for arranging this program. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.